Hey guys, Jory from Friends with Benefits here, and I have been asked by your leader, Exit Light, to provide you with yet another ghost story. Now, before I continue, please head on over to the Friends with Benefits channel and give us a like, share, and subscribe. We would greatly appreciate that. Now, on to the ghost story. I was a teenager in the early 2000s, and I was living with my family in a very small apartment while we were awaiting our new house to be built. Now, this small apartment was only a two-bedroom, one bath, and I was living in it with my parents, my two sisters, and my uncle. So it was very crowded, very cramped, not a lot of privacy, and we unknowingly were also sharing this space with something that was creating weird noises, making objects move, shadow figures out of the corner of our eyes, that kind of a thing. Now, one night I was in the living room with my uncle, and it was the Christmas season, and we had a fire going in the fireplace. Everyone else was asleep except for myself and my uncle. And we had all of our Christmas decorations set up, just not with their batteries yet. And we were reminiscing about where we grew up. And I began to notice that as the fire died, it was taking on the shape of a man's face. It had the outline with two eyes, a nose, and a mouth, almost as if we were seeing Sirius Black from Harry Potter come out of the ashes of a fire. And I was watching this as we continued to talk, and it finally got to a point where I had to ask my uncle if he saw what I was seeing. And he looks over and he says, "Yeah, it looks like there's a guy's face in the fire." Well, as soon as he mentions that, all of our Christmas decorations turn on. Now, as I mentioned before, we had not had batteries placed into these decorations. So we had angels holding candles now moving their arms and their heads. And we had a snowman that making music. And we had a Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer with its nose lighting up red. None of these were plugged in. None of these had batteries in them. They were all moving of their own accord. And the face in the fire became more prolific, as at that point the fire had died down to just a simmer, and we could fully see some guy in the fire looking right at us with these animatronics moving on their own. I, being a teenage boy, did the only thing I could at that point, and I took off to my room and I closed the door, leaving my uncle in the living room by himself, which he promptly got into the room himself very shortly afterwards, being extremely angry at me to leave him in the living room with a guy in the fire and everything moving on their own. A few minutes after him and I both got into the room, we heard footsteps walking from the living room very slowly to the bedroom door that we were at and stop. So we sat and listened for several minutes, and no one tried to get into the room. There were no longer any footsteps, and we came out of the room and looked around. There was no one there. And we walked into the living room. All the animatronics were turned off, and there was no longer a fire in the fireplace. No burning ash, nothing. It was dark, as if we had never lit in a fire. And it spooked us out big time, and we ended up running back into the bedroom and staying in there the rest of the night. And in this apartment, my little sister, Maya, would continuously see a very big, tall, black figure in the bathroom and in the bedrooms, constantly watching her and watching the family. And at the time, she was a very small child, and she was really the only one who would actually physically see this figure full on. The rest of us would just kind of catch glimpses of a black figure here and there. So it was interesting that she would continuously see this very big, tall, dark man. And then we finally got to see more of a prolific man figure face in the fire. And he really let us know that night that he was there for sure. So with that being said, I hope that sends a chill up and down your spine. And I also hope that you continue to watch Exit Light. She's putting out new stuff all the time. And head on over to the Friends with Benefits page, as we are putting out new stuff for you guys all the time. Like, share, and subscribe both channels. And I do hope you enjoy. And goodbye.